Hey guys, welcome in. It's time to start Bollocks this evening. I am completely not prepared for this. I still have my phone in my hand. Lenny's sharing the show over there. I hope you guys are having an amazing week. I'm having a good week. Lenny,
Yeah.
you doing okay?
It's my weekend. You
Yeah.
got another day of work.
I got another day of work. I got several more days of work. I don't really take days off.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
little Energizer Bunny over here.
Yeah, I got away for the weekend, but I still worked while I was there.
Well, that always happens.
Yeah, it's part of the world I live in. That's for sure.
And being umbilically tied to your phones or our phones.
Yeah,
not yours in particular.
As we are right now.
Right, exactly.
We completely are right now.
I'm bad that way.
Blake, are you live back there?
I am indeed live back here with a brand new camera angle.
Oh my goodness gracious! This is why
Crazy in there, isn't it?
You got Clint and you got Trump, all going at the same time. But it's been an interesting week. There's some wild storms came through. Everybody.
And it rained as well.
Yeah. Knocked out some power on the island.
This afternoon went out for a little while.
Yeah, for a little bit again.
Yeah.
For a little bit again. So I don't know what's going on in our city, but I do know one thing, and I know here at Bozard Ford Studios, we have the best sponsors in the world, and we're starting off with Bozard Ford Lincoln in St. Augustine. Their goal is to make sure your time and experience buying a car is stress-free, fun, and enjoyable. Bozard is a family-owned Ford dealership that has been in business since 1949. Bozard Ford Lincoln has been a recipient of numerous dealer awards, including being ranked #1 automotive dealership in the nation by Dealer Rater. Bozard Ford also has won back-to-back President's Awards, which is the highest honor given by Ford Motor Company. Check them out today online at bozardford.com.
Land Title of America, the oldest title company serving the oldest city. Stephen Collins, the owner of Land Title, has been working in the title insurance industry here in St. Augustine since 1985, specializing in all your title insurance and closing needs. If you have a title issue, there is no one better. Stay local, choose Land Title. Call or text him anytime on his cell phone, 904-501-4481. And remember, Land Title,
They give a crap.
thank you, Blake.
They're the best because
They give a
they
crap.
give a crap.
Okay.
We're going to have to pencil that in.
Yeah, we're going to have to, We're going to need to rewrite a couple of these.
Yeah, exactly. Here we go. St. Augustine Pirate and Treasure Museum. These guys are amazing. Of course, set sail for an adventure at the St. Augustine Pirate and Treasure Museum, home to the world's largest and most authentic collection of pirate artifacts. Explore over 800 relics across 40 immersive exhibits, including Thomas II's original pirate chest, Blackbeard's blunderbuss, and gold from the Queen Anne's Revenge. You'll even see one of only 3 authentic Jolly Roger flags left in the world, curated by Pat Croce and the Croce family. It is a journey through real pirate history right in downtown St. Augustine, located at 12 South Castillo Drive. Come experience the golden age of piracy. Now, those are just a handful.
Oh, there's lots of stuff in there.
Of our amazing sponsors.
Oh, okay, there's a lot of stuff in the Pirate Museum, too.
Yeah. There's a ton of stuff there, too. But also, we got to give shout-outs to A to Z Roofing, South State Bank, Anastasia Diner, Moultrie Creek Diner, Mr. Electric, Brightway Insurance, Anastasia Construction Group, Solar Stick, Abear Kresge and Associates, The Saint, Powell Heating and Air, Meehan's A.D. Davis, and, of course, our buddy
Kaiser's Deli and Market.
Yeah, so
I took your advice the other day. Julie and I had breakfast/lunch, so it could be brunch, I suppose. She had her eggs and pancake, and I had, at your suggestion, the geographically unspecific cheesesteak sandwich.
Yes.
And it was excellent.
The Anastasia cheesesteak, not
there you
the Philly
go. I'll take
cheesesteak.
that. Correct.
So
it was excellent.
Yeah, they just have great food over there. So we got a fun show. Second half, we're going to be talking a lot about lunch counters and eating at bars and how that phenomenon came to be and how it's kind of lost some flavor, but it's kind of making its way back. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. But as we always do, we bounce topics back and forth, the top trending topics of today, back and forth. Blake picks which one of the 3 that we offer up to him, and we go from there.
Sure.
So I'm going to start us off with FEMA. What do you have?
Mount Everest.
Mount Everest. Wow, that's a
tall order.
Tough one to climb. And I'm going to go Chief O'Connell. Blake, what you got? We have FEMA, Mount Everest, and Chief O'Connell. Microphone.
Yeah, I know.
I know, producer.
Maybe it's just the director today.
Yeah, well, I mean, the wind's blowing in there. I mean, look at Trump's hair behind
It's
him.
breezy.
I know. I know. It looks like insane. I guess because since the winds are blowing back here, I think we should talk about FEMA.
FEMA. We're going to talk about FEMA. All right. So it has been announced. They've been talking about it pretty much since Trump got in. It's been announced that they are disbanding FEMA after this hurricane season. Now, I've had some not so wonderful encounters with FEMA. I think it needs to be revamped, but we have to have something in that location or something in that placement. Even if it falls under Homeland Security, it was kind of a little redundant with how it was put under Homeland Security, and I'm not sure how it fit into that. But so what are your thoughts about the disbanding of FEMA? And
it's like so much of what's going on now. It's penny wise and pound foolish. It's going to cost more in the long run if they do it that way. But I think there needs to be a better integration of FEMA with private insurance, because I think there's some big issues there and gaps there. And, it's the left-hand, right-hand situation. But, I've been involved in FEMA and hurricanes up north when, cities got flooded, Superstorm Sandy. And, and you get into a technical issue with it, whether it was a hurricane or not, but be that as it may, FEMA was pretty good there. The adjusters were Johnny on the spot. They covered most of the stuff that I had an issue with, including my basement. I was pretty impressed with that. Of course, your comic books and baseball cards are face value. So my 10-cent comic books, because they were old,
10 cents.
right. And they were all gone.
Instead of getting the actual value if you sold it retail.
Yeah. But it happens.
Yeah. And see, and my experience was government to government. And at that time, FEMA was contracted. It still is. They didn't change the process. It's still contracted out.
Right.
And
they're not doing the work themselves.
I think it came down to, you had a good contractor. I did not have a good contractor. And part of my problem was, and this is during the time of when the Charlie, Francis, and Gene all crisscrossed across the state in like 2006. Blake, you can fact check that one for me. I think that was the three names of the, but they all like crisscrossed across the state all in one summer. And I was Parks and Recreation Director, and I was in charge of measuring the amount of tonnage of debris that we had to remove on the beaches and all that. We had to calculate. And because they changed contractors so many times, I had to do it 4 different times. And they didn't pass the information on to the next person. I mean, the first time I kind of gave them all the information, and I didn't,
keep copies.
We were still in the middle of hurricanes. So I kind of rushed and just gave it to them. The second time when they asked for it again, I was like, all right, we're going to scan everything in. And I'm not talking like, 30 pages.
Right.
I'm talking 1,000 pages of documents, of each individual damage and all that.
All right.
And what year was it?
Yeah, so it was 2004. So the
2004.
The 4 hurricanes was Charlie, Francis, Ivan, and Gene.
Yeah, Ivan didn't affect us as much here. That was more of a panhandle thing. So I'm pretty sure it went to the panhandle. But it was Gene, Francis, and
Ivan?
Charlie.
Okay.
Charlie. They crisscrossed across us. That kept me. You were 3 years old at the house, and the one thing I was able to do, even though I didn't go home for like 30 plus days, the power went out, and his mom called, and I was at the EOC. I walked over to the FPL guy, and he's like, "Oh, we'll put you on the list." I was like, "No, you're going to fix it right now because I haven't been home in 30 days, and you're going to fix it." And they took care of it. I have a very good relationship with FPL now.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so
and correct me if I'm wrong, but the way I understand it and the way it worked up in New York, and I'm pretty sure the way it works nationally, is the localities or the states pay the initial and it's a federal reimbursement. So you have to bill the federal government for what you spent, and they'll pay you back, whether there's a dollar for dollar reimbursement or whether there's a formula and you get 80% of what you spent. And a little skin in the game is not bad for anybody. But it gets very expensive.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that Trump's saying is the reason behind FEMA. He wants the state to have a bigger stake in it and not rely. He's saying that certain states just rely on FEMA, and it's like not the way it's supposed to be. I don't think Florida's ever done that. When Katrina hit New Orleans, but it also hit Mississippi.
Yeah.
At the same level. The difference was Florida was used to it,
Right.
and Florida,
Well, that's it. Experience.
and Florida was the support for Mississippi. Texas was the support for Louisiana. So Texas should bear. I mean, all you hear about is the federal government and FEMA dropped the ball, but Texas should have been there a little bit better for Louisiana also, and they literally got like a free pass on it. You never hear anybody say, "Oh, the Texas National Guard dropped the ball on Katrina." Right. Well, that was their next line of support, because a lot of the stuff that was in Louisiana, they didn't have the resources.
Right.
Hopefully, if they do this with FEMA, the states will go, all right, we need to have a little bit saved back and do a better job with their budget.
Yeah. Now, correct me if I'm wrong though, because I'm looking up right here. So basically, so Trump cannot create like an executive order saying like FEMA is dismantled. I believe it still has to go through congressional approval though in order to start the framework of dismantling FEMA.
You know what? They're so liberal with executive orders these days.
Yeah.
I don't. And he has
writes them,
Congress,
whether they're legal or not.
He has Congress behind him on this one. So I think the way it's going to look at it's going to end up being a revamping of FEMA. It might come back as something else like emergency services or something along those lines. But
you don't think there's going to be pushbacks from the states that are the poorer states that can't afford to pick up the fee? I mean, the federal government has been pretty good about this for years and years and years. Sometimes they're a little slower, sometimes they're a little faster. But, there are states out there that run very tight budgets, whether they don't have the tax base or the population to handle it. I mean, Florida's got a huge tax base. We got a lot of money.
We have a huge tax base. We have a growing economy because of the residential growth, even though in the last year or two we've kind of fallen off of that. But our budgets compared to Mississippi is not even close.
Right.
Even Alabama or Louisiana, it's not even close.
And I don't know what they have for reserves.
But we're also the one that's at the tip of the spear.
Right. We've got more experience with it than most other states.
So, I mean, if you pull up a chart of hurricanes hit by state, I think you can add up the top 5 other states and still not get to Florida.
Yeah. Right, but it's also
Blake, if you can pull that up.
Yeah, I can pull it up as well. But while I'm doing that, I'm going to ask you a question about flood insurance now because FEMA covers the National Flood Insurance
policy.
Program.
Yeah.
So how do you think that might work now if FEMA gets dismantled or like what so who takes over that now within the government, or will it just be privatized by like another company?
And that's something like that's going to have to get flushed out. I'm sorry about that. Probably not the best term to use there.
Leave the water out of it.
That was not the best term to use right there. But FEMA still covers those that aren't insurable for $250. FEMA doesn't cover if you already have flood insurance. FEMA doesn't come in and say, "Oh, here's your $250."
I don't know if that's correct anymore. I think you have to go through the National Flood Insurance Program nowadays. I don't know if you. I mean, you may be able to get
my flood insurance is independent.
You sure it's not from the National Flood Insurance?
No,
I mean,
it's
you pay a private contractor. You're not paying the government.
No,
but it's underwritten by the feds, I believe.
Oh, I mean, they have criterias, but I don't think it's underwritten by. I mean, if it is, then the government needs to give me some freaking money back. I can tell you that.
No, they just keep raising it up, especially and the closer you live to the water. Hi there.
Yeah, you live actually close to the water, but I'm more flood danger.
Yeah, we're pretty good. Doesn't mean it changes our rates. But FEMA's just more than hurricanes. You have river flooding, you have tornadoes. The Midwest, you got the fires in California was a FEMA issue. When you had entire cities outside of Los Angeles burned.
I'm saying it can't. Something else has to take its place.
Right.
It can't just vanish.
And insurance companies wouldn't be able to. They'd all close up if they had to pay the bajillions of dollars that they would be on the hook for.
No, or they would just push it down like they're doing right now. I mean, the insurance rates. I mean, it literally is to the point on commercial insurance right now. It's like I need to pay off my loan, so I don't have to have insurance.
Right.
You know, which is
And
horrible.
then you run a risk. Right.
It's a horrible
Sleep
place
well,
to
don't
be.
you? Yeah.
No, you don't sleep at all.
Yeah.
So
So,
all
you
you
know,
do is stress out. So
just, it's a horrible situation to be in, to decide which bill you can pay or have to pay, or, what you're eating, or you have a roof over your head, are you paying for your insurance, are you driving without car insurance, if everything's rosy and fine and you don't need to collect on any of it, yeah, it's all good.
Mm-hmm.
But when that other shoe drops, it could be cataclysmic.
yeah. No, and like I said, we have until December. Something's going to take its spot. It can't just vanish. It can,
Well,
but it's a bad
Right.
thing if it does.
right.
And that's, I don't even think the staunchest Republicans that live on the ocean that don't have insurance don't want that $250,000 when it comes, because
Right.
they're the ones that benefit from it the most here in Florida, and it hurts probably those along the coastlines in areas like Naples and his high donor
Right.
areas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something's got to be in its spot.
All right. All right. So I have the statistics here. So Florida was so this is based on last year's hurricane season.
Yeah,
so,
I meant overall, but okay, I just want to go last year.
So Florida was like overall the most like impacted state, like the most costly state for hurricanes. But just looking at last year, so Florida had the most hurricanes hit landfall. But when it came to like overall damage, like how much billions of dollars in damage they caused hurricanes last year, North Carolina was the number one state.
That was the mudslides.
Right. And
Yeah.
that was right. That was the rivers in
That
Nashville.
was the rivers and the mudslides that created that. So
Yeah, so North Carolina, then Louisiana, Florida, Alabama, Texas.
yeah, those are dollars of damage.
Yes.
If you can find the stat for actual hurricanes hitting or impacting states for the history,
Landfall of hurricanes.
landfall of hurricanes by state, that number will blow you away. Like how many we've had since they've been recording.
I'm taking the under in Nebraska.
Yeah,
I'm taking the under in Wyoming.
Yeah. So yeah. Wyoming. I don't think Arkansas has seen a lot of hurricanes.
No, but they get tornadoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Nebraska gets some too, don't they?
Yeah. Yeah. Nebraska's a wide open prairie.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
And they get snow. Wicked amounts of snow.
wicked amounts of snow.
Yeah.
Wicked is a word that they use in New York.
Yeah,
That
so
was
Yeah.
Wisconsin,
No, Massachusetts.
Massachusetts.
so,
Okay.
so Florida has
It's
the
a
most.
wicked pissa.
Yeah.
So Florida has the most with 120. Texas is 66. Louisiana 56. North Carolina 56, and then South Carolina with 30.
Yeah. Louisiana, like if you do land-wise that's exposed,
Yeah.
that's a pretty high percentage.
Right. What was the time frame on that, Blake?
Time frame of that. Let's see. Time frame of that was since 1851.
Okay.
307 hurricanes have hit the U.S., affecting 19 total states.
So 300 and something have hit, and we're 129 have actually hit Florida.
Yeah.
In 175 years, or
One in every 3 hurricane that touches land hits Florida.
Yeah.
it's a surprisingly small number that I would have thought in that time frame.
I thought it was over 200.
Yeah, in that time frame for sure, you would have thought.
And actually, yes, there.
Well, let's not encourage them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ain't that the truth?
Yeah.
All right. Are we ready to move on? Have we beaten up FEMA enough?
Yeah,
Affirmative.
All right. So you have Mount Everest.
correct.
I have Chief O'Connell. What do you have?
I got best resorts in Florida. You were intrigued by that yesterday.
Best resorts. So we got Mount Everest, O'Connell, and best resorts.
I'm gonna go with best resorts.
Best resorts.
Okay.
All right. What you got over there, Lindster?
Where we go? Okay, this is according to hotel experts. The 12 best resorts in Florida start with number 1, the Breakers, which is emotionally tied to St. Augustine because who built it?
Henry Flagler.
Henry Flagler.
Yeah, it's a really cool spot,
Yep.
and it's just down the road from his
Whitehall.
Whitehall, the winter home that his last wife had him build, and then she only went back one time after his death.
Yeah, he fell down one boom and hurt himself there, and that's what caused his demise, unfortunately. But it's a beautiful museum.
That was the start of it.
Yeah, which I sadly haven't been to yet, but we'll get
It's
there.
beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, it was established in 1896. It's on the National Register of Historic Places. What I found in the research on this is it's burnt down twice. And, it opened in 1896, and it burnt in 1903, and then again in 1925.
Yeah.
But they just pumped.
And they reopened it as a hotel after that, after 1925. He died in like 1912, 13,
I thought,
and she only went back there one time after his death, before her death. And she's part of the Keenan family.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
Is that Mary Louise or Ida?
That's still who
Mary
owns
Louise.
the Breakers.
Really?
Her family still Henry and her family still own the Breakers.
Well, I tell you, ain't doing bad, because in season from February to April, it's $1,390 for a room. But if you want a bargain, go in the summer when it's warm out. It's only $690.
Okay.
All right. But yeah, that's and they did a multi-million dollar. No, that's number one.
Number one.
That's number one.
Okay, I was going to say,
No.
what the heck's better than that?
Wait, Letty, why'd you start off with number one? You know the rules of countdown. You're supposed to go from counting down. You're not counting back up.
Yeah.
All right. Well, now we're counting to number two.
Number two.
Which
the drama is gone.
That's all right.
Cornell, come on.
Hey, I don't want people to get bored and have to wait for it. The anticipation.
That's the whole point.
We go to a commercial break.
That's the whole point.
That's how we do it. We tease to get to number one.
Fine, then I'll go to the back of the list and I'll keep number.
I bet Breakers is number one, Blake. What do you think?
Yeah, but do you know who number two is?
No, in Florida. I'm going to say probably La Playa in Naples.
All right, I'm going to guess the Fountain Blue.
Fontainebleau didn't make the list. I was pretty confused by that one. They did not make the list. No, it's not La Playa. That didn't make the list either.
Okay.
Don't say Seminole Hard Rock.
No.
It is a resort.
Think more local.
Yes.
Think the Dow property.
Dow property.
It used to be. Now it's the Collectors.
Oh, really?
Collectors Luxury Inn and Garden, number 2 on the list.
They call that a resort?
Yeah.
No, that's
They've
not
got
a resort.
They've got a heated pool.
That's not a resort.
What can I tell you?
I mean that's a boutique. That's an amazing.
I didn't write the list. I'm just doing it backwards.
Yeah. And the Cornell family
Yeah.
is the owners of that, and they do an amazing
Or are
job.
they related to Ezra?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, 9 historic buildings. It used to be the Dow property. There was all sorts of wrestling going on to try to get the development rights to be able to do it with the historic business.
PUD was a big. Everybody in the neighborhood said it's going to ruin the neighborhood.
Yeah. Well,
and it's beautiful.
And it's from the 1800s. There's 30 rooms and suites. It's adult only. Mm-hmm. They've got a heated pool. They've got an intimate little bar. And the room start at $269, and it is walk to all. It is conveniently located in beautiful downtown St. Augustine.
Need to get those rates up there. We can help you with that.
Number 3 might confuse you. Find it interesting. We're going inland to Ocala. Okay.
Ocala.
Okay.
No, there was a Billy Bob Thornton movie, and he goes, I can't remember the name of the movie. It was one of those really bad ones early in his career. He goes, yeah, I'm from a small town in Florida, Ocala, Florida.
He only visited once.
I was like, let's do a little research.
Right.
So Ocala, Florida could be the hottest place on the earth.
Well,
it's right beside hell.
There you go. And there's a place called Hell, by the way. I have that on my other list.
There's no breeze in Ocala.
Well, the horses don't mind because the Equestrian Hotel in Ocala.
Oh, that's beautiful.
248 rooms. It's part of the World Equestrian Center.
The World Equestrian Center is gorgeous. Yep. I mean, that's some big Steinbrenner money right there.
And they have a horse-shaped bar.
Mm-hmm. So
and rooms are a mere.
I didn't see that, but I mean, I have some friends that actually live over there, and they're very big in that community that come over here. They have a not a winter place, but a vacation place here in St. Augustine.
Because they got to get to some salt air.
Yeah. My friend Teddy, she's 86 years old and still rides a motorcycle.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
good for her.
Yeah, she's a badass.
Okay. 248 rooms, and they start at $449 a night. And try the horse-shaped bar.
Yeah, I don't think you can really get a room for $448, but that's good.
I'm just going with what's written down.
That's good for the paperwork. That place is. Whew.
Well, you want to get a little bit more exclusive. You got the Little Palm Island Resort and Spa. It's a private island that you can get to only by boat or seaplane.
Okay, where's that one at?
Off Little Torch Key down in the Keys.
Okay.
Okay. This one's not inexpensive. They have 15 bungalows.
Oh, it's
You have
super
to
tiny.
pay in advance. And off peak, it's a mere $1,500 a night. On peak, it's $2,600 a night.
I bet they're pissed about the whole FEMA thing.
Yeah. Rebuild us, why don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then you've got St. Pete. And I thought this was interesting because I think there were other places in St. Petersburg and Tampa that would have beat this on the list. But it's the Vinoy Resort and Golf Club, the Autograph Collection, which is a pink building in downtown St. Petersburg, also on the Register of Historic Places.
So it's a Marriott product.
For a mere $362 a night.
Yeah.
Okay. Sunset Key and Cottages. We're back
Yeah.
to
And all these are the prices were given all off season. So
well, unless I told you that it was on season, because some of them I have both on and off.
yeah,
But yes,
on season it's
yeah, oh yeah, especially these Sunset Key and Cottages, 40 private cottages just off of Key West. You got to get there from by boat from Opal Key,
okay.
and that's a mere you'll like this one, $775 in low season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, $2,100 in high season.
Sounds about right.
Yep. You've got the Gasparilla Inn and Club, which is only open from October to mid-July. That's a nice place to work. It's got an old Florida feel from the 1900s, and that's in Boca Grande. For mere
That's on the
$407
West
a night.
Coast.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
on
yeah.
the Gulf.
Well, the Gasparilla kind of gave that away, I think. Yeah.
I thought it was going to be closer to Tampa, though.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, Boca Grande.
Further south, right?
Yeah, it's a little further south, about an hour south.
Yeah.
It's almost to Bradenton.
Well, I got one for you park fans. The Four Seasons Resort Orlando at Walt Disney World for $1,000 a night. And you get park access.
Oh, yeah.
You get park access, and you can see the fireworks from your terrace. Okay?
Should for the price.
You betcha. You've got the Colony Palm Beach, which is also pink. A lot of pink hotels in Florida. That's a mere $800 in off season, and I'm sorry, $800 in high season, $600, $700 in off season. That's not a big break there. But they do Monday Night Trivia. We're looking for a new location. Monday Night Trivia,
Yeah, it might be quite a commute for me.
1947, and everybody's playing.
Yeah.
89 rooms. You've got we'll come closer to home again. You've got the Ritz-Carlton Amelia Island for a mere $833.
It's not another nice property.
It's beautiful up there, yeah.
really
Yeah. The Plantation, yeah. And then the Boca Raton Hotel, which is a complex now of 5 hotels. It's $540 from May to October. And from November to April, it's $781, built in 1926. Who was that? Alfred Meisner? Yeah, Meisner built that. It's a classy joint. We stayed there years and years ago. But it's one of these places that, the hidden fees. It's $55 to valet your car per night and $53 for a resort fee.
Yeah, keep an eye on those. And they have put the rule in where it has to show up.
Now
Now it has to show up, and you have to identify that up front.
Right.
So
Doesn't mean you can't avoid paying it, unfortunately.
you can't avoid paying it. I mean, you can park in public parking and not identify a car, but then you got to see how close public parking might be to you per property.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
But no, I think that's a great list. Breakers
Yeah.
should be on top of that list.
Yes, absolutely.
So I've never stayed there. I've
Right.
only done lunch there right on the water, and it was an amazing lunch
Beautiful,
meal.
yeah.
It's beautiful. We toured the White Hall.
Yeah.
As a Flagler grad, I really found that interesting.
Right.
And it's that deservedly number one. And I'm happy that St. Augustine's number 2 on that list.
Right.
But I wouldn't call it a resort. I would call it a boutique.
Yeah.
Some of those
I
other
agree.
ones, those other ones, 15 bungalows
Right.
is not a resort.
Right.
So
You
when
know.
you think of a resort,
Yeah, you need
think of
oceanfront.
you need a
pool
spa.
boys.
You
Right.
need,
Right.
you need umbrella drinks.
I think there might be a spa at the Collectors, actually.
Oh, really? Okay.
Did I mention
I-
they have a heated pool?
I snuck into their bar a couple
Okay,
times.
yeah.
Because it's supposed to be only for people.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you know,
They'll take your money.
yeah, they take.
Wink
your
at the
money.
bartender and leave a tip, you're in.
Yeah,
No
they'll
doubt
take
about
your
it.
money. I'm in bungalow 2. Yeah.
Right, exactly. But they're done by letter, right?
Yeah. All right. So what do we have left? I have Chief O'Connell. You have Mount Everest, and I don't have anything else. So pick from one of those 2.
Yeah, we're going to go to the other topic after
Yeah,
this
we're going to
anyway.
go to lunch counter. So we got time
Mount
for
Everest
one.
is very interesting.
Yeah, I'll go with Mount Everest.
All right.
Not to lead the witness.
Yeah. And yeah, that's good too. I was going to talk about is Chief O'Connell. I'll be very quick.
Okay.
Police chief basically said, I never asked Trump for help. Because Trump made it sound like he
and the chief of Los Angeles.
Of Los Angeles.
Absolutely, yeah.
And he's like,
yeah.
that's bullshit.
Right.
So he goes, I would have went through the proper chain. We have it,
Right.
I'm happy things are,
Right.
and he feels like he's got things in control now.
Yeah.
We'll see. So,
Well, again, I come back to what, the mayor said, Karen Bass, that, we have a curfew. We have a curfew for a reason. If you're out after curfew, we're clinking you up. You shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
And she said that's, the peaceful protesters go home. If you're out after curfew, you're doing something nefarious and you deserve to get arrested.
And there is going to be a protest at the fort Saturday morning. So
No Kings?
Yeah. So it is in the morning, probably going to last a couple hours because the heat's going to get to you there. But I would avoid that area for traffic, and it's on Avenida Menendez. So just kind of a little heads up, and we'll talk about that a little bit in the morning too.
Yeah, plan your travel route accordingly.
Yes,
exactly. Yeah. All right, so this is a very interesting story that I picked up just the other day. There's an English gentleman who's 62 years old named David Sullivan. Mm-hmm. He created a business called Creative Lifesavers. He did this because he lost 4 very, very close friends of his to heart problems. All these people were under the age of 46.
Oof.
So he got concerned. Creating Lifesavers raises awareness of CPR. They teach people how to use CPR. And his aim is to install defibrillators all across England.
AEDs, yeah.
Yep, which are fabulous. I have a friend of mine who was one of the most effective assemblymen in New York for years who got a law passed that every school needs to have AEDs in them. They need to be on the field for lacrosse, football, soccer games. They need to be available, the portable AEDs. They work great. I'm not going to say they're idiot-proof, but they talk you through what you need to do.
Yeah, it won't zap you, which is important.
Right.
And then it won't work unless you have them placed properly, and it shows you, the diagram shows you exactly where to place it. At the amphitheater, when we did Winter Wonderland, we actually had somebody go down, and we weren't sure if we could shock them while we're on the ice. We would have been okay, but we were afraid we'd get everybody with you. Take everybody with you, because it was, there's always on that ice. There's always a little film of water. So we were able to get him off, and he came back to life. So it was one of those great stories that rarely works like that. And we think the ice helped him,
kept him cold, kept his heart rate down,
helped him to bring him back. I mean, all of us were like, because he was still getting support when he left us at the amphitheater, and it was. Well,
the cold plays into this story.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let me hear it.
So,
sorry,
David, no, that's fine. No. It's good to know, because you like to hear positive reinforcement that these things work as well as they do, and you've got tremendous amount of anecdotal evidence that they do. David Sullivan climbed Mount Everest, and he left an AED at 20,000 feet on the mountain.
Okay.
He's sleeping. It's 4:00 in the morning in England. His phone rings. He thought it was one of his kids. He answers it, and it's a Sherpa named Pemba calling him from Mount Everest. The fact that your phone works on Mount Everest.
Well, they have satellite phones.
Right.
Yeah, they have satellite phones.
Well, they're also a lot closer to the sun. Yeah, the people who walk around with their hand up in the air looking for a signal, yeah, they're a little closer to where they need to be.
Yeah, they have satellite phones.
So this Sherpa calls him at 4:00 in the morning from 20,000 feet on Everest, where he left the AED. A French climber, a woman named Cecile, her heart had stopped. Oh. So a man from the Netherlands saw the defibrillator, and with the help of an Austrian climber, they used it to start her heart under the direction of Mr. Sullivan. They brought her back, saved her, and she's fine.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Was there a reason why he left it there? He left it there
for that reason.
Just for that reason?
Yeah.
But it was like, I'm assuming it was at base camp.
Base camp is 20,000 feet.
Yeah. So there's another peak beyond base camp, and that's probably.
Yeah, I don't know if it was dang. Put your initials here when you reach the top, and oh, by the way, in case you need it, there's an AED.
Yeah.
No, I'm sure it was someplace
with
where
the
it was
arrows and,
right. Yeah, where it needed to be a little bit more accessible, I would think. But I think that's just a fabulous, fabulous story.
Well, and there's so many people that weren't as fortunate as this French woman.
Yeah.
So we said the number. like you remember what the number was like 280 people or
Who
something
died on Mount Everest.
that are dead on Mount Everest.
Yeah,
And,
I think it might have been 280 people that might have died on Mount Everest.
Yeah. So
Well, Mr. Sullivan said it made his, the entire climb that he did, it made it so worthwhile. In retrospect.
100%.
So,
So
yeah.
he was supposed to do what he was supposed to do.
Yeah.
And the fact that, because, is it when you're hiking and you're in the mountains and stuff like that, there's one thing that goes through your head. Is it worth the wait?
Right.
And what I mean by wait, I'm talking about not W-A-I-T. I'm talking about W-E-I-G-H-T.
Right. What
Is
you're
it
schlepping.
worth the wait? Because there's certain things that you put in your backpack and you're like, why did I bring that?
Right.
This is such a waste of bringing that. So
Until you need it, right?
It's got to be worth the wait, and he made it.
Oh, yeah.
He made sure it was worth the wait, and it saved this woman's life.
Yeah, which is fabulous.
Yeah.
I just think that's such a great feel-good story,
Yeah. No, that's awesome. That's awesome. All right, we're going to talk about lunch counters, diners, and are you a lunch counter guy?
I am.
All right, I'm a lunch counter guy too.
I like it. And, when we first got married, Julie was not big on eating at a bar, eating at a counter, and I have converted her.
Okay.
And it's some of our favorite things to do.
I like the interaction
Yeah.
at a counter. I think I get better service at the counter. Usually they have the more experienced person there, which is a huge difference in the service business. You know that more than anybody.
I do.
Yeah.
It's also, and if you're eating by yourself, if you're sitting at the counter, you can have a better conversation. So, you can talk to somebody, you can engage, you can interact, you can make friends. Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah.
All
right. So you have more experience in restaurants and lunch. Did you ever have a restaurant that had a counter service?
No, I had restaurants. I had a restaurant that had a very, very big bar that we did a lot of food at the bar.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you want to get us started on the history?
Sure.
Okay.
1923, Woolworths. They opened the first luncheonette in New Albany, Indiana.
Well, I had it older than that.
Really?
I had it in the late 1800s. It wasn't a luncheonette. That was a luncheonette, but I had it even older than that. And usually you and I have used the same resources, so
Right.
I thought,
Yeah, Goggle.
that Google University. I had it. Lunch counters emerged in the late 19th century, initially alongside railroads, and later established in like Woolworths.
Okay.
So I had it along the railroad.
Okay.
The railroad.
Well, it makes sense for people that are waiting for trains. You sort of have a captive audience if the train's running late. Makes sense.
Yeah, but it does. It gives the next credit to Woolworths in the history that I had. So.
And then it said they expanded to other, and I love the term dime stores.
Yes.
But it was, like Kresge's and McCrory's and, all those other Woolworth-like downtown department stores. So, but at the lunch counter, you go egg salad sandwich, grilled cheese, patty melt. That's where your soda jerks hung out, and you could get your egg creams, your milkshakes.
They said dime stores and soda fountains and
Right.
soda jerks is kind of the how it gathered its way. What was your favorite go-to diner that, like, in your head when we talked about this being the topic?
Right.
What was your diner that really popped into your head?
The Laurel Luncheonette.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
It was around the corner from me. That's why I bought my comic books. That's where I would go get the Sunday Times from my father on Saturday night.
That was in
so
Long
he could
Beach?
finish in Long Beach, yeah. So he could finish his crossword puzzle before he went to bed. Yeah, for sure. And that was great, because they had everything. And they had a list of like 12 different milkshakes, black and white, a black cow. They created all sorts of wacky stuff.
See, we had two in DeLand. One of them was called Hunter's Restaurant. It was Mr. Hunter ran it. Hunter's Restaurant, which they had a counter at, and the other one was the Big Rig, which was the truck stop.
Right. Oh well, that's
And those were the two locations that when we talked about this, these are my growing up experiences. These are the two that really popped into my head.
Well, there was another one. I mean, this was a legitimate luncheonette, but there was a lunch counter in the Granada drugstore, which was 6 blocks further away from my house. So I'm walking around the corner. I'm walking all the way over to there. So I took the low hanging fruit and went to the Laurel around the corner. But the Granada restaurant, the Granada drugstore had a lunch counter in there too. That was great. So
Yeah, they usually were inexpensive, quick food. I mean, and I still sit at the counter at Georgie's Diner.
Yeah, you were saying
on a pretty regular basis.
And it's funny, and you said quick food, and you know what was the demise of these lunch counters?
Fast foods.
McDonald's, fast food restaurants. Yep.
Drive-throughs, convenience,
Yep.
and
7-Elevens, convenience stores. Yep. Fast food restaurants. Yeah.
So, but I mean, a lot of history took place. You were talking about Woolworths there. You know, and the St. Augustine Four.
Blake's got some pictures of that.
Yeah, the St. Augustine Four, one of our famous, 1964.
63, I thought.
1964 was when the St. Augustine Four, was when they got,
So
it might have been in 63 that they got arrested, but
they got released in January of 64. That's how I know it was 64. Yeah. July of 63, they were arrested. January of 64, they were released.
Yeah. So, and the boys went to that horrible home. Because it was two boys, two girls. Right. The boys went to that horrible home where they found all the bodies of the other abused.
Was that the Nickel home?
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it. It's over near the Panda. There's the picture right there.
Yeah.
So.
And what's nice is that the St. Augustine one or is that the Greensboro one? Because the first sit-in was actually in Greensboro, North Carolina in 1960. And that was the first civil rights protest at a whites-only counter by black people sitting there saying, I would like an egg cream too. Which everybody on both sides of the counter said, what the hell's an egg cream in North Carolina?
Yeah.
If you're not from Brooklyn, you didn't know what an egg cream was back then.
Yeah.
But the original counter from St. Augustine, which was in the Woolworths, which was on the plaza, is now in the Lincoln View Museum.
Yeah, the old Excelsior building.
Right, yeah, the school.
Old Excelsior High School.
Yeah, yeah. So that's pretty neat because for the longest time, I didn't know that old ex-mayor Joe Boyles owns it. Bowles.
Yeah, Joe Bowles.
Right, okay, yeah.
Bowles.
Oh, right, yeah, well, yeah,
Bowles.
you know my accent.
Yeah.
Right. He owns it, and it's on loan to the Lincolnville Museum, which is wonderful. Before that, where I had first seen it, and I thought it was fascinating, it was in the lobby of the Wells Fargo Bank that was in the old Woolworths.
Yeah.
And that was, it's just, you'd walk in and you see this lunch counter there, and there were signboards explaining what had gone on there, and I thought that was just brilliant.
Yeah.
And then they moved it to the museum.
Yeah, no, the story of those four, and I think only one of them's still with us. She actually had just gotten home, and Jackie Robinson was speaking at a church downtown on Martin Luther King, used to be Center Street, and she had just gotten home, and he called her up, and not only did he call her up, he took her to her and the other young lady to his house in New York and stayed with him and his wife for like a week or
Rachel.
two. Yeah. So so he really took a liking to, he's like, I'm not a hero. These are the real heroes. These
and MLK said the same thing.
And
both of them, yeah.
A lot of people think it was just 4. There was actually 16 or 17 kids, and the ones that were underage were the ones that they were really trying to convince them to turn against Dr. Haling.
Right.
So, because they were trying to get him to be influenced on a minor or something like that.
Moral turpitude.
Because they were trying to get him out of town or arrested, however they possibly could.
So good that they didn't.
The parents, they were going to sign. They had to sign a document, either
that they wouldn't protest again.
They would never protest again, and they turned on Dr. Haling, and all the kids refused to do that. So those four
of them, right?
Yeah,
4 of them didn't accept the offer of, you won't go to jail, you won't go to reform school, but you have to agree never to protest again. I didn't know the part about turning on Dr. Haling.
Yeah, that was the whole purpose. Right. That was the pressure they were putting on.
Right.
It was to get at him through those kids.
And those 4 stayed strong. And again, this was another, you talk about your bad optics. These were young children. They were 15, 16 years old. And that did not play well in the press. And that was, again, part of the pressure. Yet these poor kids had to spend a half a year, in a reform school in some nature. So it was tough. But it was, it was a momentous, it was part of a sea change. We'll see what keeps going, but that was interesting for sure. But I got one for you. You been to Savannah?
Yes.
Okay, I thought you might have.
Mhm.
There's a restaurant there called The Gray
Okay.
in Savannah. You want to talk about
With an
counters?
E or an A.
E, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. Because it's short for the Greyhound.
Oh, okay.
It was the old 1938 Art Deco Greyhound bus terminal in Savannah, which a woman who is a chef named Mach-e Bailey took over and opened her first restaurant there to great, great acclaim. And it's a beautiful space, and the food is excellent. We've had dinner there, and it was great. Tough to get a reservation too, but they kept the counters from the bus station, so a majority of the seating is around the counter. And I think Blake might have a picture of that as well. So it was really, the food was good. I think I had the rabbit, and it's a open kitchen, not an open kitchen, but there's a window into the kitchen. I think Blake fell asleep.
Blake, are you conscious?
Yeah,
There you go.
There you
Okay.
go. All right.
Because like you didn't send me a photo of this one, so I had to go look it up on Google.
I did. I had a hard time with your email address doesn't get recognized by my mail.
So someone else must have already gotten that photo of
Yeah,
the
some other
Yeah.
Blake.
Right, because that wasn't the picture I sent you, but that's just as good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I sent you an overhead which gave you the whole configuration of the counters because they're all U-shaped.
Yeah.
There's a lot of counter space.
When I look at that, I think of that famous painting.
Nighthawk.
With,
Yeah.
With James Dean and
Yeah.
Marilyn and
It's in the Art Institute of Chicago.
who else is in it? Is Elvis in there?
I don't know that. I think you're talking about the poster and the reproduction.
Yeah.
I don't think they're in the original Nighthawks.
Okay.
It's the same diner picture. With
Okay.
somebody sitting there. Blake, could you look up Nighthawks, please? It's in the Art Institute of Chicago.
The painting Nighthawks.
Yeah. Which I keep wanting to say is Edward Hopper. I'm pretty sure it's Edward Hopper. But it's fabulous.
Not to be confused with Dennis.
No. Then we'd need a chopper,
Yeah. Yeah.
which we'd have to get into the chopper.
Yeah. No, but the lunch counters, I don't know. Do you think they're making a comeback or because I think of breakfast.
go.
I think of breakfast. That's it right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the original. The remake
Has all the
remakes
fancy
famous
people in it. Yeah. That's great.
So,
and I love that because I see it all the time in Chicago because we do the Art Institute every time
But
we're there.
when we talked about that's the first thing the image that came into my head.
Yeah, absolutely. Of a counter, the lunch counter. Yeah.
Yeah. Huge glass.
Yep.
Glass windows. I thought of that.
Like an open diner.
Yeah. I thought of that, and I thought of Dirty Harry.
Okay.
Where she's just pouring the sugar in his thing. They're getting robbed, and he
Yeah,
walks in as a
right.
cop, and she just keeps pouring the sugar in. I always go to that scene
Yeah.
where he spits it out, and he's like, "Oh gosh." Yeah. he knew what was going on, but it still was like, "Oh, that was
Right. All right. I'll do something now.
Yeah.
I'm not drinking my coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, so those are images of the diners that really pop into my head.
Now I want a patty melt for dinner.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean,
I'm going to get shrimp from Osteen's, but I want a patty melt.
yeah. No, and I can tell you the big rig back in the day, I wasn't a lot, we didn't have McDonald's money and Burger King money, but we ate at the big rig, which was probably equal
Yeah.
to the cost because my dad liked the big rig.
Okay.
But the cheeseburgers there when I was growing
You know
up were just absolutely phenomenal.
Isn't it great? Short order cook is a true talent,
Mhm.
especially if you do it just on a call.
Yeah.
Not even a printed dupe. They call it out and you cook it up.
I don't know if they called them smash burgers at that time.
No.
I mean, it's just the way you made the burger.
Right. Yeah.
But I mean, that was to me my original smash burger.
Get a little crunchy.
Oh
you
yeah,
know?
yeah,
Absolutely.
on the
Yep,
edges
yep.
a little bit.
Yeah.
And,
You can't do it in a pan. You have to do it on a griddle.
yeah,
Yeah. On a steel griddle.
flat,
Yeah. Exactly. Flat top. Yeah.
yeah, on a flat top.
It's so fabulous.
Yeah.
And then when you get really fancy, you throw the onions on, just a little spray of water and put a lid over it and everything steams together.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's techniques.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think I need
That's good
Waffle.
eating.
We might need Waffle House now.
Yeah.
Are you a Waffle House guy?
I am very much so.
Okay.
And I love the fact that, I keep forgetting because it's so far off the beaten path. The Waffle House in St. Augustine is this tiny, teeny, tiny little Waffle House.
Mhm.
It's tucked in a corner on State Road 16
Yeah.
on the other side of 95.
It's just the right size.
Yeah.
It's just the right size. Those are the Waffle Houses that I grew up with.
Mhm.
So that one's considered big compared to the Waffle
Really?
House we had.
Really?
The first one that came in, and it didn't come in until I was like in college.
And that's also someplace you can eat at a counter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Most of them.
That's if you're you're really not getting the full experience if you're sitting at the booth.
Right.
I mean, unless a fight breaks out.
Which is Waffle House.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
You never can tell.
Yeah. Probably the toughest person in the world is a short order cook at Waffle House. Like, I think in the interview process, they go, "Can you fight?" So,
how good are you with that spatula?
yeah.
Right.
Waffle House has a protocol for hurricanes.
Yeah.
So they have a protocol, like they're the
arbiter, right?
They pride themselves on being the last one. They are the ibis of restaurants.
They close, you better grab your stuff and get out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, I think Wix has a nice skit about that. The Waffle House is closed.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just got serious.
Yep. Yep.
All right, but I'm interested to see what people think. And Bobby actually is correct. I met Bobby. I was sitting at the counter at Georgie's Diner.
Yeah. And that's when you first met him?
That's when I first met him. He came up and tapped me on the shoulder when we had the radio show.
Okay.
So.
And he said that was the Greyhound bus terminal in town.
Yeah.
Georgie's Diner.
Yeah.
So
that's the location of where it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love repurposing stuff like that. You know, you give me a gas station, and if it's not a Superfund site, I can turn it into a fabulous restaurant for you.
Yeah. The Greyhound station didn't look like that.
No.
It was an ugly
Big building, yeah.
It was an ugly building. So
yeah, well, the one that's the gray in Savannah was, it was an Art Deco, beautiful building, stainless steel wraparound, blue color. It was, it was really, really done up. And then, of course, they put a bunch of bucks into it to turn it into the restaurant.
Yeah. But did you ever take the Greyhound bus?
In Australia.
Okay.
I was in Australia for 2.5 months, and I had a Greyhound bus pass that was unlimited, and I took a Greyhound bus from Sydney all the way to Perth. You go across the Nullarbor Plain, which is from Adelaide in South Australia, all the way to Perth out on the the Indian Ocean.
Yeah.
And there's a train track that goes across it, that they have one curve in it just to make sure that the engineer stays awake, because we don't want to be a bad conductor, yesterday.
Yeah.
And the bus has 2 drivers. So one guy sleeps while the other guy goes, because it is just a straight run across nothing. There ain't nothing in the middle of that.
And they got to make sure they're filled up before they go.
Oh, yeah. Gotcha. And, there's probably some way station in the middle of the trip where you can get out and pee and they can gas up. But it is so vast and so open that I saw one of the most phenomenal weather phenomenons I had ever seen. And it was a line of what we would call tornadoes. And they call them woolly woolies down there. And you could just see 8 of them in a row, just spinning around in one straight line, moving in one direction. It was a little spooky.
We, tornado story. And Blake, I don't know, you were probably 5 or 6 years old. And we pulled off in Daytona. It was raining so hard. We pulled off in Daytona. I was like, okay, let's get gas and, let's try and let the storm pass and maybe grab a bite to eat. So we go in and Crystal Burger right there on International Speedway. And I'm literally looking up, and I look across where now it was clear at that time. It's where Daytona 1 is, where they have that shopping plaza and stuff, and the Crystal was right there. I look up, and there's 2 tornadoes, twin tornadoes side by side.
Ouch.
And we're in a glass fabricated building. And I looked at his mom, and his nephew Anthony was with us. I was like, you guys go in there. I'll stay out here and see what's going on. Just because everybody was kind of in a, in
holding pattern,
absolute panic mode. Yeah. So I was like, okay, I was trying to calm everybody down and go, okay, it's over there. We're not necessarily in the line, but if it does start moving this way, we'll see some debris, and all of us are going to have to pack in the bathrooms. We don't need to do it right now. But I sent the kids and his mom in there, and it went on by. It lifted up and disappeared, and it was like, whew. Yeah. So it's
literally the calm after the storm, right? It got real peaceful, sort of like when the hurricane goes through.
Hold on. So when was it? So you said it was 5 or 6. So was that the Christmas Day tornadoes in Daytona? Was it Christmas Day, or we didn't go to Daytona Christmas Eve or Christmas Day?
We might have been coming back from DeLand.
Okay.
We were coming. You know what? I think we were coming back from Aunt Donna's house in Lake Helen.
Yeah.
So because we got off of I-4 So that would have made sense. We were probably coming back from Aunt Donna's house.
And was those the same tornadoes that brought up like a whole bunch of like Amarillo planes like that just like brought up like everywhere? I can pull up a photo.
I don't really remember that. It might very well have been, but it hit. That's where the airport is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was probably it right there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So look at that picture.
Flip those planes right over.
Yeah. So they weren't so aerodynamic that day.
And for those of you scoring at home, Crystals, for you Northerners like me, is White Castle.
Well,
it's not the same now.
Two different companies.
Right, but it's the same concept. It's a steam grilled, little flat patty.
Crystal actually started out as a chicken place.
Really?
Yeah. It started out as a chicken place, and the one in Daytona was one of the early ones, and they actually had a chicken section and a burger section.
Really? Okay.
Separate right there near the boardwalk. So,
very nice.
And when you got like Crystal's chicken, that was like a treat because we didn't have Crystal in the land at that time. So, and the Crystal used to be right there near the boardwalk. I think the Mayan Inn is there now, a hotel that's there now. So, but no, I used to crush me some Crystals.
I know, and they're great. But if you don't eat them too fast, they tend to get a little soggy. Yeah, because they're steam grilled.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do the doubles.
Yeah.
I do the doubles instead of the singles. So I
throw some cheese in there if you're me.
That way you can kind of wolf them down a little faster.
Yep.
But I do like Crystals better than White Castle, even though I will still have a White Castle in Vegas every once in a while.
Okay.
So I'm not anti-Crystal,
White Castle. No. Yeah. And White Castle goes all out on Valentine's Day. They put tablecloths out.
Fancy. And you have to eat your White Castle's pinkies out.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
On that day. Blake, you got anything else for us?
I don't really have anything on anything else on lunch counts. Like I definitely will say like the number one lunch count that I know of like is like Waffle House and Georgie. So I do associate more as a breakfast counter than a lunch counter.
Yeah. And I probably have eaten it more late night.
Okay. How late do they stay open?
No. Like
counters in general.
Like counters in general, like Denny's and some of those 24-hour places. A lot of those guys, I kind of. When I was a little more irresponsible, and I go, I probably need to eat off some of this alcohol.
Okay. Yeah.
So there was, nights out at the club, and you're like, okay, it's 3 a.m. Can you eat? I can eat. So.
And it's like and eating at a bar is a similar concept, but it's a little bit of a different experience.
Yeah.
Because if you're at a diner, you're at Georgie's, you're at the Laurel Luncheonette. You're not getting Singer just went on the IL. You're not getting liquor.
Yeah. Well, and I can tell you this: one of the best eating experiences in town is the Saints are one of our sponsors, but the River and Fort, their sister restaurant.
I love that.
If you sit there and you're facing the fort, and they have great food, great menu, usually wonderful bartenders. The service is great. They're bringing it to you, and in a timely manner. Their plate turnaround is amazing. So that to me is one of the best eating experience. Yeah. If you're going to sit at a bar,
I agree.
I did want to talk about the blue plate special.
Okay.
Did you? Your restaurants were more higher end.
My first two were white tablecloth. My third was, like Cheers.
Okay.
Burger and ribs and salmon and TVs and a lot of drinking.
All right. Were you? Because I don't know if they had blue plate specials up north so much.
Yeah.
I always kind of associate.
And literally the plates with the built-in dividers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they had the built-in dividers. Usually they were blue. Sometimes they were off color of red. But they would be a meat and two sides and a dessert came with it. And it was called, in some parts of the South, it was called meat and three.
Okay.
I don't know if you ever heard that term at all.
No.
But in Hawaii, it's just called a plate lunch.
Plate lunch, yeah.
Yeah. So,
which is really starchy for you.
Oh yeah.
You get your rice, your potato salad, or your macaroni salad, your burger.
Yeah. Everything's a starch.
Yeah.
So maybe some fried Spam.
Mm-hmm.
You can do a seafood. You can do seafood and meat and do a mixed plate lunch, which is you're really living on the edge there.
Fills you up.
But I just didn't know if you had the blue plate specials in like Brooklyn and in
it was more Midwestern, I think, blue plate specials. But it was also a point in time. So I don't know if they had them in Brooklyn, Queens, or Manhattan. But once you got out of the city, you get back into what are a little more suburban or rural areas. Yeah.
And the reason I brought it up, that's what they had at Hunter's, and that's what they had at, like meatloaf was on Tuesdays.
Right.
And,
right. And you had your weekly special.
Fried chicken was on Wednesdays, and that was your blue plate. Yeah. So I just didn't know if it was the same up there. I know probably weren't a whole lot of collards.
No.
On
no.
The
or greens in general. No.
Yeah.
No, not a whole lot.
Yeah, I mean, down here it was either green beans, corn, or collards. That was your kind of go-to sides, or mashed potatoes with gravy.
And calling the green beans at that point in time green was being generous.
Yeah,
they kind of blanched out a little bit.
Yeah,
I mean, more olive drab.
These were actually not out of a can. We're not talking Green Giant ones.
Right.
These were green beans that came off.
They still have a crunch to them, or
yeah.
All right, well, that's impressive. Then good. That works. If there's still a crunch to them.
I just thought they didn't cook them enough.
Yeah. Yeah. You want them to be bright green, but you want them to be cooked through. So that's that fine line between, keeping the color and the flavor and having it edible.
Yep. Yeah. Guess what? We're at the end of our show.
And the end of the week.
End of the week. You'll be back with us on Monday.
I will. Hopefully, I'll be right on time.
Amanda and I will be in the morning, and then at 9:04, you'll get to see Troy's 2 cents for the week.
Can't wait.
Hopefully, I don't make everyone mad, just half the people mad. So, but I mean,
are you going to alternate people which half each week?
I really don't know which one I'm going to make mad as I go along, because it's basically I write down 5 words and go.
Okay.
And we'll see what comes out of my mouth tomorrow. So,
okay. Buckle up. It'll be fun.
Bye, guys.
See ya.